Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the University of Liberia Broadcasting Network here today. We have some technical problems. We're having a couple of feedback on our network today. But what we would like to say is we want to apologize for interference with us as we take it as something that it should do. So today, I want to welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
And Mr. Paul, welcome as well.
Yeah, thank you guys. I can make it today to be on the show. I think the topic is fascinating. It's something that we need to look at, especially the religion, fraternity, and tribalism. Its own socio-economic growth and development of Liberia. So today we'll look at the different challenges, the gaps, and what's the impact they have had on our country. So I'm happy to be on the network once again. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. And for you, our viewers, Mr. James Carter is speaking from Liberia. He's one of our from the ground there. Are you guys hearing anything from me?
It's just a little feedback, a little.
Okay. Okay, so we want to say welcome to the game, and today we'll be looking at the root causes of some of the issues that have surfaced into becoming a problem in our society. Basically, we looking at politicians playing with the lives of people only because they have some of these issues that we are discussing tonight to get out of our governance system. They have that one between one another. Not recently, I've been following one actor, Daniel Cassell, who on his own political party, and most of the Liberians who want to liberate the country all want to do social political party. Uh, Trying to take advantage of the space that have been created as a result of the Liberian people getting tired with the old faces, the old politicians, the old way of doing business, taking advantage of that limitation. They decide we have to put a picture. Well, welcome to Liberia. It's now everybody has the right to contest the best of the country. But some of them have religion. Some of them try to have fraternity and tribalism to find their way to the highest level of our country. And for me, my own recommendation or legend to anybody, the new Liberia is looking forward should be a Liberia that is raw of religion. A Liberia where the governance system will be raw of religion, raw of fraternity, raw of tribalism. Because these things are the basis for each all of the problems we are facing as a country. These are the basis for which these problems are prevalent among us. And we think speaking to the symptoms, the corruption, speaking to the symptom like integrity, speaking to the symptom like accountability, not addressing the root barrier that continue to protect these assets. We will always be moving around in the actual society, like chasing the moon, but not realizing anything. Quite frankly, Liberia belongs to everybody. I'm a Christian. I was professing this truth to me that I'm a Christian. But from the report I read, does not tell me to impose my will on other people. But Jesus Christ, he did not come about a religion. There were Pharisees and there were other people. But what he tried to do was to bring the message of truth, the message of redemption to mankind. And so people who are living whatever belief system they have, the only way you know that is law. It's by law. It's by the way you demonstrate that you know the legacy. And that's why Jesus demonstrates it. That's true Christianity. That's not religion. I think we should form a government system of inclusion where no religion will or preference over the next one. And then there will be a balance about the right to serve God, to believe, and anybody that will believe in God. Secondly, I'm still on the media. The fact that our country, young people, a lot of young people coming up to believe that they will go to school, they will become successful, they have a job in a senator, they have a job in UBS, they have a job working, and they will protect these well up into our government system. We'll seek practicing all the things that protect them from protect them, and then they will put into public service. Public service for everybody. We should open it up. And another thing, tribalism. I understand that the issue will on very strong that it's legal. It's legal. But let the tribal people give the law a chance to take the root. The law is the law of the country. Whatever the Supreme Court says is final. If anybody don't believe in it or the interpretation of what they need to do is to speak out of higher judicial law. But in order to not know the substantive nature of the issues and try to get somebody because of tribal affiliation, this is not taking the country anywhere. This is not taking the country anywhere as well as the fraternal issue. We're not saying who's not going to be a fraternal or worship or a religious or fraternal rights. But when it comes to every business, the national resources, it shouldn't be for people, brother. Yeah, it ain't for them to control the government system. So when one government goes, another government comes, the system remains. Because it's not private or fraternity. We need to thank you for the purpose thing. So if we want to live this way, we continue to encourage religious mindset. We continue to encourage fraternal mindset. We continue to stay at prison. We will not get able to the place of development. We will not get able to get generational capital to bring our generation. And we think we're working towards solving our problem, but we'll never solve the problem. We will deal with religion in our governments, but they will deal with fraternity and will deal with tribalism. So, not to take up more of the time, I would like to allow you to give your point of view on all these important issues as a proposal in power. What do you have about?
Yeah. Thank you. There are two things. I think let me lay the foundation a little bit so that those that are watching will be able to follow us as we go along. The topic is actually is about the impact of religion. in fraternity and that of tribalism to our socio-economic growth and development in Liberia. For me, I'm going to say religion has played some meaningful role in our society, and we can point out to we can point our finger actually to some of the schools and other humanitarian work that have been implemented or being carried out by these organizations. But for the most part, the fact remains that religion has also failed our people in Liberia. I do not see a church as a religious organization, which is another thing that we can discuss outside this. But you cannot have so many churches or mosques in Liberia, and yet the population is experiencing abject poverty and corruption is at a peak, you know, and it has not just been at a peak. We have seen a trend of that issue of corruption in past governments and also including the current government. And in my mind, if these institutions have been effective, we should be seeing less corruption in our society in Liberia, to be specific, and more transparency and accountability in both the private and the public sector. But contrary to that, we have seen the worst. You know. Now, when you look at the issue of fraternity, to me, the issue of fraternity and sorority groups in our country, to be specific, Liberia, they also have contributed um, to some extent, and I will mention the same thing. They have built schools. Some of them have built schools to help our people. You know, they have contributed to humanitarian work and so forth like that. But for the greater part of that, we see these fraternities and sorority groups, in my mind, have caused more division and animosity in our country than just a few charitable work. These groups are, you know, are kind of hiding behind in my mind. These groups, for me, as an individual, it's like every society has a competitive nature, and to have just few individuals forming a clique to support one another in setting or platform and so forth like that, it is somehow sad to say, because now you are doing that at the expense of the larger population, in my mind. And so they go through this stuff and to seek power that we see today. A lot of times, there is not a leadership in our country that is not somehow affiliated with these fraternity or sorority groups. And to be honest, this is something that is on a global trend. When you look around other African countries, you see they have these fraternities and sorority groups. So now everybody is running to these groups with the hope that once they become part of these groups, now they can excel to the positions that they want. And we've seen that in our government. This group, in my mind, are outdated. In the 21st century, they are still fighting fearlessly to maintain their integrity and momentum that they had in the past. But it is the worst thing to me. It is most saddening to see young professionals following the same case of the past. Those groups brought us actually. They actually brought about what I would call nepotism and favoritism in the private and the public sector. So when you see young people trying to emulate those two attributes, it is really sad to me. And then lastly, you mentioned something about tribalism. I'm not sure whether tribalism has helped us in Liberia, though. And I would say this to say that if you guys will recall, tribalism have actually been one of the key factors, if not the major factor, of our civil unrest in Liberia. The number of civil unrest we experienced in Liberia was because of another tribe feel they are better than another tribe, another tribe feel that they have been marginalized for a very long time, and the list go on and on. So I have not seen any impact from tribalism, and looking at the current happenings as it relates to the former defense minister, Brandon Samukar, we see a group of Lothians who are gathered to pay the restitution fees that the Supreme Court has seen as a fine, and that needs to be paid and so forth. So we got to get beyond that. And what I saw when I read that article was that Liberians, especially for Lothians, we are all brothers. They are looking at this thing from a tribalistic point of view. The fact that Mr. Semoka is from Lofa, I don't think we should be supporting people because they are from our tribal group if they did something wrong or if they did something right. We should be speaking to the issue as a Liberian rather than from a tribalistic point of view. So in my mind, the issue of Vanish Sherman, the issue of all of those that were involved into those very illegitimate practices and so forth, there is a rule of law in our country, and there is no tribe or individual that is above the rule of law. So if I'm a Lothian, I would love to see that Mr. Simaka gets his fair chance in court, which he did, and the court came up with that. But we have to try to separate that issue from being political. Let's look at it as an act of crime that was being committed here along with other individuals, and if they are being found guilty by the Supreme Court, and they should be willing to face their charges.
Thank you. Take the point. It is good. I think our audience can take a lot of lessons. Mr. Paul, once again, we want to know from the view. Who on the ground, you look at what's happening there for a while. That's it. How one fraternity and tribalism is playing a role negatively on social economic development. How are they negative?
Okay, like I said, thanks once again, especially to the listening audience. Happy to be back in your network. Looking at the topic tonight, I think you guys have laid the basis for the discussion. Like Mr. Greg, they put it, religion, or we say religious institution or faith-based organizations have played some pivotal role as it relates to our social economic growth as a country. So, in fact, if you do, history will tell you to know that proud to government carrying schools to the rural areas, it was religious institutions, the Methodist, the Catholic, the Episcopal. These were institutions, the Baptists. These were institutions that went to the hinterland, right, to establish, right, to carry educational institutions there. So up to the late 70s, before government was able to start to move into the rural areas. So we can also say that the religion have played some part. Even during the war years, in the 90s, you saw like the Liberian Council of Churches, the Interreligious Council. These were institutions that would speak, right? I know leaders were listening. But like Mr. Gray also put it, the morale, the issue of independence as well, the issue of being more proactive. We don't see them nowadays. There are a lot of issues happening. Corruption has on the increase. The issue of morality, issue of ethical values. We don't see the church. We don't see the mosques. We don't see the imams and the pastors. We don't see them anymore. Coming very high. During those days, if, for example, like Archbishop Marco Francis, he was very vocal. The late Sheikh Kafuma Kone, these were people that from the religious and the community, when they spoke at that time, you see that even Charles Taylor, being a tyrant, were listening. So the church has played some part, but in recent time, we don't see that particular role being clearly played by the church. So also when it comes to the issue of fraternity, he has not helped in any way. He has not helped in any way. We want to clearly state that Because nowadays, people joining these fraternities to be able to suppress, be able to manipulate the system, be able to take shortcut. And we are saying these are things that have not helped the country. Where because of I'm here fraternity, I don't go through the merit-based system, right? Where I want to get a job that I'm not even qualified for, but I'm saying because my brother is there, he should give me that job, right? Even and one of the areas is very rampant. Almost speak of that is the justice system, right? Whereas there are lawyers that they are compelled, right, to join some of those fraternities just because they want to win cases. Mind you, if you're not part of them, that's suppression. You will experience, right? And the issue of tribalism, does not help, right? Our recent history will tell us that we are aware of the 1980 coup, the 1985 coup, that saw today the Liberians and the Nigerians cannot see eye to eye, although we still relatively we because relatively we are living in harmony. I can see that, and because of the current generation, right? Some of us who are direct victim of the war because of our ethnic background, we today we don't see it as anything. I want to be practical a little bit. I'm from Grand Chile, but I don't see anything against anybody, right? Owing to the fact that my father was killed during the war, right? At the age of 6, my family went to jail, and God have it, we survived. But the issue here is that today I don't see anything against anybody, and I think that how it should be, right? Today I have a lot of good friends. Like last time you saw me and Lawrence were on this network, right? We are very good friends. And Lawrence is from Nima Afro. So our interpass it didn't work like that, right? So we saw after the Kumapa invasion, we saw the Nima raid, and we saw the coming of the National War. So because of tribalism, coming, that's why sometimes I always tell some of my friends when they're trying to say, oh, the president on the southeast. That time I say, we are coming to experience another problem just because the president came of Benji there, we saw what happened. Southeast, you talk about 5 counties. So even people complain that when the president took over needed that appointments, right? People complain on the appointments. Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
go
not,
ahead.
yeah. So even when the president took over, people were complaining on the appointments, saying, "Oh, your appointment for the southeast," right? So we try again to label
Hello.
people. Yeah, come on, soon.
Sorry, Mr. Queen. 1 minute. Let me interrupt the question. How do you think tribalism is impacting our communities? Because consider to say, look, we even go to casting our food, and the
Yeah,
way
come on, soon.
is showing a legislature, and the thing that is happening to manage some of that, why you think it is very impacting our
Yeah,
political system?
yeah. I'm coming to that, right? I just want to highlight some of this historical analysis as it relates to how they have damaged our country, right? So I'm even telling you that currently people have Bono, 5 counties, saying that some East counties, in fact, is where the president from, you know, they're getting all the appointments. Mind you, something that is very bad, right? So, for example, people are voting on tribal land. People are voting only because the other men from the south, we from the south. We are from North, majority North and Central Alliance to go against the Southeast. So it makes no sense as a country. As poor as Liberia is, why would we be dividing ourselves? So, in a nutshell, I want to say that tribalism have not in any way benefited us as a country. And it is about time we see ourselves as Liberians. And sometimes it is even sad to note that in some counties, in some tribes, they still have division, right? For example, I was so I was never born in Grenada, grew up there, right? I'm only born there for visitation. But when I went back, my first time going to Grenada was 1989. I have gone back twice.
Yeah, I think we lost James, but I'll just speak up until he comes back in. Just another point, Mr. Jala. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Mr. Jala, but I'm just continuing. I'm going to continue quickly along the line. Another point that I wanted to make, when James come back, he can pick up from where we are. It was the issue of the fraternity. If you notice that, we we just don't have. Hello,
Yeah,
hello. Yeah, we just don't have fraternity now. Like I said, the fraternity of the past, have not helped us. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, as James alluded to that, it had caused more division amongst Liberians. But what is happening now in the newest generation, the generation of the 21st century, is that for those they may not like the issue of fraternity in the past, but they are starting a new trend, and this is what my experience is. For those who are fortunate to travel overseas from Liberia on a governmental scholarship or whatever the case might be, and they're having to go to some Ivy or prestigious university or case like that, when they go back home, they form an organization, they form a fraternity to say, hey, I'm from the University of Duke. Okay. I graduated from the University of Duke. Even though they came there and spent maybe 3 months and get a certification program, when they go back to Liberia, they say, oh, I graduated from Duke University in North Carolina, or I'm from North Carolina State University. So now all of those that went to Duke University, they decide to come together and form that fraternity. You understand? So all of those that graduated from Duke University now form that fraternity, and then when they go places, they will publicly say, "Oh, we are from Duke." Then you got another people from Warren College that form that fraternity. You got another people from
Okay,
Penn State University.
Mr. Green, I think already the book here. Here. That's not a fraternity here.
No, I'm saying, no, the point I'm making is those things lead to a rise to what we have now.
Yeah,
Let me
I'm
tell you
asking.
something for you. That's
I'm
the point I'm
asking.
making.
For
I'm
our
saying,
listeners,
I'm saying we should learn from the past.
yeah, I'm
We
asking.
made that form the fraternity to say, oh, this is where it gets to get to state power. We form clubs, and that club gave birth to fraternity. You understand? So when you start segregating between I went to Duke University and you went to North Carolina University, we are from Duke and we are from this, that is segregation. It may not spell out in the immediate, but in the long run, you'll find out it will be Duke versus North Carolina. All we are saying is we are all Liberians, irrespective of which university you went to or you graduated from. It's okay to recognize your alma mater. But what you must be keenful or careful of is not to take it to that level where it will create divisiveness in the small society. That is the point I was making.
So the point, what do you think about the same thing?
Yeah, let me
Segregation.
just
So
come
the
at you. I want to ingest something quick.
yeah,
Yeah, like what Mr. Gray just said, right? Coming back to Liberia, in recent time we experienced that from the early Johnson Sirleaf administration is currently being carried out, where people are from the University of Liberia will say, "I'm from Soup, he's from Studa." That student political activism and student activities have come to the national sphere, where you have someone who is a minister to the don't want to appoint someone or don't want to empower someone or give them a space because they are not seeing political party on campus, right? So like he said, some of the small things today it come to the national
I agree with
embarrassment.
for the purpose of the conversation. The level of fraternity that has leverage on decisions that impact life as a people. You know, we look at it. This issue has a thing concerning university and all kind of thing. Uh, those are things that but people always things over certain things based on their relation and background. Those are it can be you saying when you implement decisions, a lot of things influence your thought. Parents, Disney, all the important deal well we can feel that on other level. But the one that has taken your religion state, those ones that people place their life and they put and confident with, that they prefer over their even mother, brother. Those are the dangerous. That's the one you like he more even just always is. But when we have a fraternity that has graduated from religion and is about to enter a state, there's a serious problem. There's a serious problem. I will follow now. I want to take your time to what I want to say is you are talking about tribalism. And I want to ask a question before you go forward. Don't you also believe that tribalism is robbed of the best? Because some people will come and run for our country, but because they now from travel for voters, they will not get treatment to help and reform and shape our development. Don't you think tribalism and development of those good leadership like people is leadership? So I just want to consider this.
Yeah. Let me come in and maybe Mr. Craig can back it up, right? So, like you rightly put it, Kumasu, right now in Liberia, so I agree. If I'm coming from a county like River says, right? Uh, there are times politically no one have interest, right? Because to even get a job, to even be appointed, you don't have leverage, you don't have the numbers. So we have created that segregation just among ourselves. So if right now you see when people talking about getting political power, state power should come from people looking at Nima or Lofa. Monsorado is like everybody area, right? So that these are some of the issues. So you find even development priorities are shifted because of a particular tribe, right? Looking at other people that they will not benefit because I can record going to the 2011 elections when anyone going for a second term. Going to that elections, Nima County had the highest number of appointment in government.
Mm.
It was a strategy employed by Madam Salif because she wanted state power. So deputy ministers, assistant ministers, just from that particular county, they have 20 different persons. At the end, these people will go back and canvass for her. And the issue of state power should be equally distributed. These are things that you can make a particular people feel they don't have a right to state resources. And that's the issue of tribalism. It have not helped us. Right now, if you look at everybody that want to take vice president, you should come upon Lofa or Nima. So what happened to somebody from Maryland? What happened to somebody from Cape Man? What happened to somebody from Small Bapolu? You get my point? So the thing is that at the end, people take state power and they want to focus on those counties. They think that we will always call vote rich counties. So they are looking at the overall development of the country, or rather where they can get vote from. That will be their target. And it's 100% development. And I think that's why we are saying that the issue of tribalism. Yeah, look at fraternity, we say religious issues, then there are some critical issues. There are times they come at the national level, right? But right now, we look in our political sphere, right? The political atmosphere, the political setting, the issue of tribalism is very critical. from getting government job, from getting community development programs and projects, just everything. It starts to a particular group of people, it starts to a particular region, just like that, because people think they can get food from there. It's only money out development.
Okay.
That's
Let me.
Mr. Griffin, one thing I want to say to you on a question before you go. We support this reality. Given the fact that very frank, also they create self-regulation and sectionalism and that's what I would but how do you look at this these covenant of fraternity people our judicial system to create I mean Mr. Sorry, the judicial system now being overtaken politically and we from our justice because they took protect one another and that's the law. You can't have people running our way. And the UBA looking at this kind of strong committed organization. What do you think of that? With respect to growth and development in our
Yeah, is that a question for me or James? I'm
yeah,
not
I
sure.
want you to really address it from your own perspective, the way you look at the way you contribute and the way those factors are growing now and getting and are sticking with others. What kind of figures can you look up to? Will we be a corporate economically?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. A nation that is divisive um, is bound to not succeed at the most level. And the reason why I say that, I'm looking at all of those things. It starts from the individual. Okay, how do James on this platform feel about me from Grand Cape County? You understand? Uh, is James thinking that we have had too many presidential candidates coming from our county, and he have not had any opportunity for anyone to come from his county? Just from that level, it now excels to the national scene. So now you have people even in government now who are divisive. You got people from certain branches of government have their own fraternity though. And those that are part of the fraternity are fighting against other people in a same government that are part of a different fraternity. So when they should be seeing it as coming together as a unified force to work for the socio-economic development of our country, they are seeing it as James versus Gray. So if that mentality doesn't change, we are in it for a long ride. That is why I was cautioning you guys earlier about the young generation to come and how they are starting to do these things from the collision level. You understand? As beautiful as it is. But back to what you were alluding to earlier on, we need some strong level of civic education for our people. Because if you have individuals who are seeking state power going to identify certain county, specifically maybe certain district, to implement project only because they want people to vote, our people need to be aware of this, that they should not be voting based on James is from their district or from their county. You understand? Mr. Gray is from Grand Cape County, but because Mr. Gray is going to be on a political ticket, or one of the case might be, they shouldn't be voting for me based on that. They should vote based on my qualification and my experience, the expertise that I bring to the job. So a lot of times we see those trends taking place, and our political leaders take advantage of our people ignorant to some extent. So they decide to just go there and say, hey, local counties or rich counties, so we need to make sure that our political ticket carries somebody from local county no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So, or Bond County, like you mentioned. We got to get to that point where our people are aware of these things and they do not vote because James is from their county. They look at the experience and the expertise that James brings to the ticket. We should be able to vote for people irrespective of tribalism, irrespective of which fraternity or sorority you comes from. You know what I'm saying? But we have not reached that yet. And if nothing is done about this, Mr. Jarak, to your question, if nothing is done about this, it means we are going to be going to repeat history. You understand that? Like I said earlier in my previous statement, that a lot of our civil unrest were due to tribalism, right? I mentioned that tribalism, and in the issue of civil conflict, people who are from fraternity that know each other survive. Those of us that are not part of any fraternity group, you don't tend to survive those kind of struggles. So we gotta get rid of all of those mentality, all of the things as it relates to which tribe you from. When you ask a Liberian where you from, I just need you to tell me I'm a Liberian. Because when you start telling me you're from Lofa, that divide is there. Or you're from Grangie, like you're saying, you have gotten over that. But this thing have remained a stigma for a very long time. Even though we may be passing by each other and so forth like that, but the issue are not being addressed. It was never addressed. It was not addressed by our county leaders. It was not addressed by the superintendent of those counties. So there is still bad blood at some place. We don't know when. But we need to discuss the issue. These are the issues that should come out of reconciliatory meetings. You know what I'm saying? To address the concern. But in all, my brother, if we do not get rid of that divide in our country, at all levels, the private sector and the public sector, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back maybe 10 steps to where we are right now. Mr. Jada, I'm not really hearing you.
Sorry. Sometimes I want to put this thing into context. Um, you see, like people now, there are a lot of things going on behind the background that we're not taking notice of. And we don't do so much stuff like killing our own people. We keep talking about it. That's what we do. Every family of that country that was born in that country, God deposited something in them that they have to give to us. And if we continue believing our that public resources, that state power is an opportunity for we and our to benefit our women, that is pushing them for perpetual backwardness and chaos. We are the opportunity of rational emancipation. Because it has to be us. We can have a country with a governance system where young people are proud to be for basic and they are crusading and campaigning for it. And they are showing to other people that the job is there is because of that. I was looking at this in Liberia, who went to the university with a smile on to the maternity to join in all of the job. So whatever people don't want to do that, but it got something I want to do. My without anything whatever, there should be a law that will completely prohibit discrimination in the workplace, especially for a must there are a lot of give our people and I get people up to the government because of the situation. Why? Because there's a system in place that continues to make everything centered certain group of people. And this is the core number one fraternity. Those fraternity people throwing shit the water for them to absorb your account. So when you I'm not going to a part of the community, minor that they want to do. That's why you see our James today, you know, they say how Liberia even with the master degree, they want to leave it. Why they want why would people want to leave their country when they were born there, they were developed there, they got something for if there's a contract for them to give back, you know, not between 11 to the US for our young people fighting to travel to travel in the world for opportunity. Why? Because they're proud. And it's happening in public service. Actually, tax for money. Few group of people sit down and protect the opportunity, protect the losing. If you do your mindset, open your door to the very I can choose to right now, choose to work, I can choose to have but now I'm you see young people in that time and they all you know so that they are part of some group of factors that they are using to know and this is really super fun. A lot of super fun are growing up in our government system. Why? Because since you in power, you all can you know, I will protect you. Or I will tell you what you want to hear. You know, these are the kind of worry to prosperity when we able mindset kind of evil in our mind. We need to create a everybody in the sector. We need to do that. And fraternity will not set them for their life. The issue of religion, the Liberian religion, the Liberian Council of Churches, the Liberia Religious Council that lay on all religious. I don't know what they are doing in our country. I don't know what religious people who confess to people who are let people should be the first people to stand up to recognize the close by public service. They don't do the step they have to be talking about talking about mortality. What kind of guides you close your hand to the emotion of your people? These religious people, they got their certificate for the government. They are not certificate. Why are we prioritizing religious group? Why?
I'm gonna if you give me a second, let me just make a point to your previous statement. You see, we live in the United States of America, and I'm not a big fan of fraternity. To be honest with you, you know, but like I said earlier on, we see all of these things on a global stage. We have fraternity in the U.S. and Liberia is noted for being a copycat of a lot of the activities that's happening in the U.S. We look at our constitution. You know, a lot of it is being a duplicate to what we have over here in the United States of America. A lot of other things, you know, our government system, our governmental system, and all that kind of stuff. We got a lot, but what we need to understand is that even in the midst of these different groups and fraternity that we have in America, when you look at when you look at Congress in the United States of America, right? When you look at Congress, Congress has splendid groups. You know, they got people who they call the progressive, they got the moderate Democrats, you know, they got different groups. But what they do is they fight to impact the lives of their people. You understand? It is not to that personal extent that what I dislike about you is going to overshadow what we think we should be doing for our people. You know what I'm saying? So we carry that mentality in Liberia in our legislature. We have a lot of different groups. We got the progressive groups, we got the other groups in there. And even if one group decide to come up with a proposal or come up with something that is relevant, that's going to impact the lives of our people in Liberia, because the other people are from other group, they kind of tend to back at it. They kind of tend to say, hey, I don't, they shut it down, for example, they shut it down. So what I'm saying, we got to be very careful when we are copying things from other society. Like I said, Liberia is a unique situation. So when we are copying things from the United States of America, we got to be very mindful because there are corruption at the level of the United States of America. But what we understand, like, a lot of people don't talk about these things because they ordinary people have a job. They can earn that daily meal. You understand? They can afford to pay their bills and so forth like that. So a lot of times you don't see a lot of people talking about stuff like that. But when you have a society so small like Liberia that the unemployment rate is so hard, and then you see individuals driving cars and all that kind of stuff that costs $150,000 in government and so forth like that, it rather bother the ordinary man who has to walk to go to the little job that he has. So I'm saying we got to be able to understand that. And even though we want to copy system from one country to another, we got to make sure that it fits. That there's a need to tweak that system, to adjust it to our system, our own system. Because Liberia is a unique country. We don't have to just take everything from another country and just employ in our society. So there has to be unity in the legislature. You know, even in the midst of those splendid groups, you know what I'm saying? People from their own clique in the legislature. But they got to understand at the end of the day is to do the work for which they were sent there, and that is the work of the people.
Yeah, it's a problem. That is- Did you understand? Yeah. I don't know why Mr. Torres is up now. Coming back again. Yeah. Mr. Mr. Green, uh,
Yeah, let me come in on this point, Jala. I just want to highlight a few things, right? Is going back to this tribal or ethnicity issue. We all follow very closely when the former Justice of the Supreme Court, Kabila Janet, to her impeachment. When that process started, it brought in two things. One, from the tribal point of view, the Mandingos felt that they were being targeted. And another thing that was also brought in the picture was the issue of religion. People felt that the Muslims were being targeted. They used that two things. So even because of that factor, going to the midterm elections in December on December 8th, it was a clear factor that people used to campaign that the Mandingos and the Muslims were targeted. It was so you see some of the division. Now we are seeing Bernie Samuka today, who have been convicted. The tribal men have come to stand by him, saying that even you say he's a thief, but he's our thief. That's the money to collect. Yeah, people are paying. Right now, I know people that from the country say they'll give that contribution, they will pay back. So let's take it down. So everyone that is involved in the issue, the owner tribal people come say, yes, he's a criminal, but he's not a criminal. Other people look at the owner man and say, yeah, he's a killer, but he's our killer. We'll protect him. We'll give him. We'll send him to parliament to be protected. So these are things that when you look at, if you do a critical analysis, you note that tribalism have harmed us. They have not done any good for this country, and it's something that you talk about civic education. But I would tell you that if we do civic, if we have to start to carry effective and very robust civic education, is something that would take us years, decades. Because the people in the rural communities, to just convince them, right? If I don't say, rural communities will vote on traditional issue. Tachi say this where we go in and where we go. They don't ask questions. So that's the difference. Sometimes we do the comparative analysis with the United States and that of Liberia, we are far apart. And this issue of tribalism, it's not that unique to Liberia. It's an old age African problem. Where if you're the man for the same tribe, you're for the same town, you don't do anything wrong. You don't see anything wrong. Everything he does is that we have to protect the tribal name, and there's something that's causing serious, serious problem. And now because it is mixed with politics,
In Europe.
even at the political party level, even at different levels, it's affecting the growth and development of this country. And there's something that to see some kind of educated people taking a particular position, because of tribal background. Sometimes it beats up your imagination to see that Liberia will go the way it's going. Today there are certain group of people say Vani Shimon, yes, he's been designated by the US Department of Treasury. But other people will say, yes, he's from great because they will stand by him. Right? So there's something that is affecting the country. So as civil society institution, there are times we work with different faith-based organizations, right? But the issue of the stability is something that for me I don't see no positive side. I don't see no positive side, right? So it's something that brought the country to where we are. We suffer. 250,000 people die from the civil crisis because of tribal issue, because of the way in which you say, for example, the Nigerians will protect Samuel, right? The Americans will protect Thomas Kumapa. And today they are protecting Johnson. Everybody coming, you say, oh, yes, this is what the person to have done. It's glaring, right? But still, people can't stand by them. Sometimes you make our work difficult.
So here's a question I have for you, James. I have a question. So do you think the recommendation that came from the TRC, had that recommendation been implemented today, do you think we'll have seen a change along the way? Because we put a lot.
Yes, I want to agree with you. But I think at some point, I think like the TRC, the recommendation from the TRC were macro managed. In fact, is why we saw the former president, in fact, having some at some point they have town halls meetings, at a very small scale. If to say you are implementing, just say we are doing this, it will take time. But the thing here is that one of the key aspects of the two reconciliation committee report is the issue of justice. As a country, we will not move forward with people who've perpetrated violence, people who committed war crimes and crimes against humanity are walking free and they are being protected by the tribal group, right? For example, where in this world you found Dr. George Bulley, right? Who is a former rebel leader, came to the United States sometime that he was deported. He's my tribal man. Back to Liberia today, we're saying to the legislature. So, it's like sometimes you sit and think the way our people behave, the way they take decisions, the way they make decisions that time is something that is terrible. How many of them are willing to listen and say, yes, what you're saying is true? So if even we agree that there's need for civic education is a serious, serious thing. Right now, you have in Bapolo County where we have a serious issue of election or discontention, where you have at some point the people have to pull the country devil also to ensure that it scare a particular candidate. So it is a problem. This is a national problem. There's something that is a cancer eating out every fabric of the society. You going for a job, people to know what type of background you come from. It's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
so
terrible.
Mr. Kwan, I agree with you. I can agree with you excellently the way you stress it. But civil education is, I mean, the mind of our people need to get ready for GOE. But so many few tribalism in our country that we ignorantly practicing all the time. And it may be, it may sound good, but not right. They can't be, they can't be. Now, I don't have a problem with the can't be the way in which it promotes so-called unity among people. Because so-called unity. But the fact that we go to a place where it's becoming highly holistic and it gets the desired intended result to promote schools and bring economic activity about. This is the point I want to make. We can basically, like in England, they got all the different teams from very region. The regions support their team. The regions support the labor, Manchester, you know what the business. Oh, Lord, man, come on, people that be ground crew people. No, it's full of this kind of
So
holistic.
can I be a Kematinian and like Tobogi? Should that be a problem?
Yeah, these are the kind of things saying. These are the kind of things saying. You see, so the thing is good, but what can we say? Lofa team, Lofa team. And so, okay, my team is letting Lofa team get support of it because when the team in the tournament, everybody will go to the country and you benefit, right? A whole new metabolistic intuition, you know, because these things not really leading us, you know, because it continue to feed our mindset and we continue to carry it in every sector of our system. And it eating us inside. We don't know. We don't know. We enjoy it. We destroy it,
I
you know.
think I think the lack of uh, decentralization in our country and community-based development will make people start to think in that direction. Because now, Lofa, let's assume that Lofa won the county meet, right? So Lofa takes the trophy and they take whatever prize. So that prize now is going to the county. So the people in the county feel that it's going to benefit them, and it should go. But if they already had that centralized development there, right? They don't hope for that. If it comes, it comes. They can even be in low file and decide to support somebody for bomb. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying you can be in low file. Yeah, you're born in low file, but you should be able to at some point in time to say, hey, you know what? I think I like the bomb team. I think they were more professional. I think they play better. You understand? But because your team, because you are from Lofa, you're that high Lofa fan, even though when Lofa did not perform well and they lose the meet, you still decide to stay with Lofa instead of applauding the opponent that they play better than your team.
Yeah, I want to have a different view on that. While we agree that, like Jala said, that the issue of the counter meet, yeah, the internet is intended to promote unity, is intended to bring us together as people. But it's also about, let's agree that we have a lot of people from different counties in Monrovia. Some people, they don't even go back home. Some people born in Monrovia don't go back home. But
Never, yeah.
they come to the county meet, you see that sense of belonging. You see, everyone want to identify. You don't even speak the dialect, but you just want to say, let people know that I'm from this end, right? And you feel proud. And, you feel very proud that you're from that area and whether they beat in your county. And the issue here is that almost all of us, we are linked to 2, 3 counties, right? So, for example, during the county meet, I would say, for example, my father here from Grand G there. I was born in Grand Basso. My mother is from Sino. You seen it? So right there, I got linked to 3 countries. So after grade, I didn't qualify. I said I was support my maternal country. I went to Sano. The beat Sano, I said, but I'm going to my country of birth. It went there again. So sometimes, actually, for me, I followed the country meeting. I went on the field to the semifinals. When Sano came to when Sano was defeated at SKD, also Graham was defeated to I think IGB as well. I was on the field, and you will see that sense of belonging, Jala. The momentum is different. It's different, and the only thing I see about it is that it got too much political interference. Yeah, the political interference where,
And
for
that brings
example,
to ask
yeah,
you a question.
exactly. Yeah, you got
That
political interference. County officials want to own the team, you know. But for example, you got people that from Grand Julia go and play for Lofa. Is another thing. Yeah, people. So you still found out that not everyone are supporting Lofa County are from Lofa, right? So like Mr. Gray was saying that some people say Lofa have a better team. Although I'm from this county, they'll go support Lofa. Yeah,
But
but I think
the
yeah,
question
go
for you, I got a question for you. The question there is, when we have these county meets, be it whichever counties are playing, do our officials take that opportunity to actually cement the relationship, to provide words of of connection, words of motivation, words of unity? Because just playing soccer is competitive. You understand? I stand behind one team and you stand behind the next team. Now, somebody has to be there to be able to bridge that gap. Yes, we are competitors, but yet and still, how can we unite ourselves? Was that something experienced during the county meet?
yeah, yeah. So time passed. The county made that Bomi County won. Adan Snow have just won elections in Bomi County. He was a new lawmaker. So in fact, you had lawmakers from Bomi County who were not seeing eye to eye. I
Hmm.
can remember Sandra Johnson was not seeing eye to eye with the former speaker Alex Stallo, right? So you imagine on the few, you see all the guys together. They brought them, they interacted. They started to engage, right? I saw it when Nima went to follow with grandchildren. But you see, Prince doesn't say now on the side, so open up on the side. They started together in the VIP, right? We have seen it where leaders from the counties that have issues, they will sit behind, the people in the same county, and because of the county media, have to talk to each other. And at the end, after that process, they mend their defense and settle some of the differences.
Yeah, but
So,
well, this is the point. I agree with you guys. That the company is very powerful, especially in terms of capability. But one point here, why can't we uh, elevate it into the Premier League of
oh, no,
yeah?
yeah. Every time the academy is playing, immediately after a euphoria, the momentum, people will say we should transition the academy to the National League.
Uh,
Yeah, but there are serious challenges with that. The people have come over and over saying that, for example, road connectivity. So if you take in, for example, the Kidman Warriors, Grand Kidman Warriors is going to play maybe Maryland Hunters. You know how many days it takes to get to Maryland, right? So we have good roads where the county can buy Google buses for their players, right? So if we play on Sunday in Maryland, we leave Cape Man by Monday. Take a day, use almost 5 days to climb, play your train, rest, and play that game and come back. So what happening now? There are a few counties that involve the National League, right? So you have almost three counties coming. I think 3 or 4 teams for Nima. You got team in Uganda, team in Sanikule as well, right? So the league is played simultaneously. People go to Magiri, Bong, Nima, Grand Basso. I think Cape Mount, Big Mountains in Cape Mount. You got a team there in Montserrat. So during the weekends, teams they try. So these areas that people can easily access. Yeah. So that have how the company have not been able to transition to a flesh league.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
So post that.
it's a point. If if that if that is an obstacle, then I think they can. they can develop ideas to resolve that because quite frankly, if you convert the economy to Premier League, it has to have a lot of economic dividend to even a country.
I agreed, and most besides, it would definitely support the issue of the club not get money, individual
Yeah,
supporting for the club. But like I said, the road, my man, the sub E is completely cut off. And, you cannot access those areas. So, like, you want to go play in Bapolu, it's something terrible. Or you want to go way Lufa, it's something terrible. That players will go through to access, to go there and play game. So the issue we pray that the issue of roads can be, done, and then we can push in that direction. I know you have road, you get a team in the country that register in the league. You need to allow the fixture come or what they're going to play. So you got to go there and play. It's happening right now. Every weekend you got this kind of going to Nima to play, like Nima United, things like that. Almost all the teams have their home grounds, the managing, that one thing. So when it comes to, sports, I've always been a unifying force. And it comes to me, I supported that, yeah, it doesn't really, it was only not the previous county me that Grand Crew won. We saw a tragic ending that have to do with when Nima County work out of the field. It brought serious tension as well. It was something that never ended well. But I think we have passed that. I think they learn from their mistake as well. So when it comes to the issue of travel issue, when it comes to the academy, the travel issue, I mean, people feel very travelistic. Everybody want to identify with the country and they feel proud. Proud of this country. You
yeah.
see.
Somebody told me that in Liberia, you got to travel this thing. Yeah, I feel that from school. I say you got to travel this thing in Liberia all to be nationalistic. So
Ah.
yeah, so the point is that is a positive
No,
side of
no,
it.
So the question
Tell
now is that transcending now to the national scene? What we're seeing people
okay. So,
now.
so like the negative aspect we're talking about being tribalistic, it have to do with depriving other people their just share of the cake, the national cake, because you feel that you are so present for a particular region, everything should be for that region. I think that's the negative aspect. But if I want to be, I say I'm from this end, and it should not in any way, right, hinder anybody from the other side of benefiting. Yeah, I think it's not a bad thing. Because, like I said, travel is a unique thing to Africa. You go in Nigeria, the Igbo man will be an Igbo man. There's I'm an Igbo man. Hausa knows I'm a Hausa man. But still, in Ghana, it's the same thing. The
Mm.
Fanti people with Ashanti, but yet and still, when it comes to that national interest, I think that where we should look at is not just saying, I'm trouble. You go and say I'm a crime man, so that issue. No, it's
Right
how do my crime man, yeah, 1 minute, how do I say my crime man affect the greater good, and deprive all of people of their own share of the national cake. Yeah, you can go ahead, Mr. Go.
like I said, like tribalism is a good thing, but we gotta know to what extent does it stops. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
you being competitive on a football pitch and supporting your tribe, it's a good thing. We don't want that to cross that over effect to cross over to where in that even when somebody from your county is being charged for corruption, then you take that tribalism to that part of that to
yeah,
support them. That is where we
mhm,
gotta draw the line to say, no, you can't go
exactly.
this far. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
gotta
sure.
stop.
I
So
agree with you 100%.
it's a great what the people we all try to do here in uh capitalism got a positive side and got a negative side. And we should like the positive side, you need if you buy it, Kanta is Kanta is very neighbor country, neighbor crazy country, how the country is developed, the country is the best country, and every people for vacation. I like that identity. If every other country get out and see they'll be developing the carry development in the kind of economy. That's part of it. But and they want us to do the soccer support where everybody, because we are interrelated, relationship share accounting because of our intermarriages, you know, we can support any country that we are connected to, you know, tribalistic. That is started early. You get identified. Maybe we get a sense of unity. But the West part, when we taking it to making decision in sector, when we taking it to decide everything that will benefit all of the managed, maybe don't have this
Uh,
from this step. You know, who become president of that corporation, not be decided by affiliation.
so, so the thing in my mind now is tribalism develops, evolve. It's evolving, right? But part of what I think we should do in our civic, our robust civic education is to draw the line of demarcation. You know what I'm saying? As to where this thing stops. You know, how you where it stops, and then how do you see yourself as a Liberian than just from Lofa County? You know what I'm saying? We gotta be able to say that yes, it's okay to be a Lofian, but at what point in time do you see yourself as more beyond being a Lofian and being a Liberian? That is on a national level, you know.
Yeah.
And just to conclude on my part, just to say that when we're doing developmental initiative in our country, we want to make sure that it go across the board. So at least everybody feel that they are part and parcel of the developmental process, so that at least one county don't think that they are better than the other county, you know, because of lack of development, you know. So
Yeah, I think from my end too, like Mr. K really put it, if you have to do with development, it should be based on priority, it should be on the need, it should be based on the issue of how relevant is that development to the people. It's not just because I'm from Nigeria, so I want to carry a project there or I want to carry some development there that will have no greater impact, on the Liberian people. So I should think that okay, the project is more needed maybe in Bapolu, is more needed in Grand Cape Man, is more needed in Bomi. Other than I just thinking that I'm from this side, I must carry something there. It's something that I've now always felt. Because if you do that in development studies, it will tell you that if you don't conduct a very effective need assessment, that is
yeah,
why sometimes you go in. Sometimes I go to you go in rural communities. You notice that projects that government do not partner supported. These projects have been abandoned, right? Like someone once told me that you go to the town, we're all asking the people what they need, right? And you go pay a hand pump in the center of the town. You know what? You know what I mean? The women of that town, you try to hamper some of their activities. The people they do all the gossip, they do all the information sharing they go into the creek. Ain't seen it. So the next thing you hear them talking about, oh, the water can eat our skin, the water not good. We're using that our creek water before. And the leader him pump is poor, it got rusty. So these are issues. The men used to the bush, they can go to plenty in the bush to use it as latrine. You be not to say, but they say if I say against that norms. Forever to see you go in that building go toilet. They abandon it. We have seen it. When the building will stay and take a ratty, they will not use it
yes,
because proper need assessment to know what they actually needed, and they were not involved. So it's not just about because I'm coming from this place, so I'm gonna do something there. And there are times, the impact would not, really be felt compared to, carrying it to a place where it is really needed, that people will cherish it, they will help to protect it.
Yes.
So yeah, to just conclude, we talk about religion. We say both of them they have. For me, religion have more positive side as it relates to the development of this country, especially religious institutions, the foreign churches. Most of them have definitely stand very tall, right? Supporting education, health. In fact, during the Civil War, they carry relief services to one of the major relief institutions in the country. So it is to provide welfare and support to the people. We know that very well. But there are times we have somebody have they have some lapses, but not much I can say. Fraternity is 100% no impact. There's no need for that. For me, I'm clear about that. There's no need for fraternity that you need to be a part of a certain group to get a job, or because of that group, other people qualified, competent, and experienced people are denied, services to their country. I think is something that we should frown on at all time. And tribalism, like we have all agreed now that it's not all bad. It's something that, like Jala said, tribalism leads to not, tribalistic lead to nationalistic. It's something that, yeah, I buy into that as well. But where you will see the terrible thing being done, and you say only because he's a tribe man, but supporting at all costs is where I have, serious issue. Like in a context where people say you should be party discipline, right? You guys put a particular political institution, whether they are wrong, they are anything, you don't ask questions, you don't argue, you don't give your, you don't disagree. So you should be disorderly, you should be party. What the party see that the party mainly use or put it at all costs. And what I've transcended, what we see, what we're talking about today, people are supporting their tribal man when they are involved in issues that have serious negative implication on the country, right? Today, you know that the president is in the southeast. There are a lot of things he's doing there. The issue of Benin Samuka have overshadowed the entire process. Everybody, the media, everybody want to know what's happening with Benin Samuka. And now you have the Samuka saga. Now everyone is looking at the justice system, the rule of law, the Supreme Court, what they have said, what NEC will do, right? So it's a serious thing. You have the Ministry of Justice writing the National Elections Commission to not certificate, Benin Samuka. But on a serious note, I want to be very clear with the Samuka issue. Looking at my current stance, I'm someone that is not, I don't want to say I want to be more like legal or whatsoever, but I don't want Samuka going in parliament. I'm very clear about that. I don't want to justify the legal aspect of that. We have been in a strong advocacy trying to clean the parliament, the legislature. We're trying to, put pressure on, put a foundation on them to resign from different committees. We're working on something to be able to name and shame different actors in parliament, that we think they shouldn't be there. Some of them have ex-convict, some of them have committed serious economic crime, some of them have committed serious atrocities in this country, and we can get another man coming in. It's very sad, and I think our justice system didn't really do right to the Liberian people, to even allow him to contest. Right? It's not just unique to him. We saw it during the by-election in 2015. Abu Kamal also involved in terms of restitution, and he was allowed to contest. There are something I think looking at the new elections law, we need to look at it very critically that we cannot make it about simple mistakes. And then we come back to is some going to be denied from going to the election, saying because the lower court have ruled, right, for him guilty, and some people just say based on the court ruling, we cannot allow you to go. What's going to happen at that time? But that can be a bit of national embarrassment. What the Supreme Court have ruled, and for me, in my own opinion, the ruling was very weak. It just like someone can just say the man committed a crime, you should pay back and walk free. For me, I have seen it.
So do you think that those that see it like that are those who are saying that we don't need any war crime economic code in our country and we should just let other people move on like that?
Yeah, that's happening right now. So if even we get talk about economy and war crime codes, and we see when we seeing people are supporting people to be going to public offices, despite what they have done, is something that is very sad and terrible for this country, right? Today is Samuka, so tomorrow will be who? So because our law are based on precedent, right? So the Supreme Court ruling tomorrow will be based on another ruling. People say happen in they'll be giving instant case. Samuka versus the government of Liberia. This was the judgment. This is what you did. So it just because the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of law, and at times you cannot whatsoever decision to make that law. But we want to say that the ruling is not justifiable. If you see someone come misapply, yes, a payback. So part of the issue right now, people are saying is that if someone got get because he's going to pay in the 6 months around $400,000. So if he and I want to quote the saying, if he pay the money, he free, right? So if someone got to take that money tomorrow and go pay, government revenue, he get a receipt, so he free. He's a free man. Then no case on him again. You see that? So it's like tomorrow, James Coyosty, I take your money, I make business, I get profit. The day you come for you, I pay back, I free.
So the
So
ruling itself is a little vague because are
yeah,
you
that's what I'm
saying?
saying. So people are saying, like this morning, another lawyer was on the radio providing his own opinion on that. That they refer to it as suspended judgment that have to do with because there was no punishment, saying that if he failed to pay it, right, then action will be taken. Isn't it? When you go to my jail, when they come in. But you know, it will not happen that in the US. In the US, you commit a crime, you will anything you do, you have the jail, there will be punishment. And some of us from the anti-corruption point of view, we are very clear that we should start to set precedent that will deter other perpetrators. So these are
Okay.
some of so people even say, okay, I will pay you the money, what happened to him? So now you pay, you walk free.
Hmm. That's
And the meeting, trouble men are protecting him very strongly.
yeah, Mr. Christopher, thank you very much. And definitely, I want to have another issue with Addis Samuka. Like I said, Mr. Samuka issue is a legal issue, and we all tend to be loyal. We tend to be people who are full of responsibility to interpret. The Supreme Court saw that one of the law, it was the right thing to do to not disenfranchise Mr. Samuka of his political liberty. That's what it is. And I think this something we see a Christian to be questioning, because I don't know, there's some corruption in our justice system, but it's caused by certain biases to this person. Caused by certain biases. There are people who are in the judicial system and are interested in people and they want to protect on the basis of something, capability, some reason, and we can tell what. But let me just move because I think we have like 2 minutes to get on today. With respect to religion, I know you guys are like religion doing a lot of good things, getting on school, hospitals, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But this is it. If our religious system we don't have a constable part on a governance system, the people in government will be left to undo all the good thing religion. If they sit and watch the wrong thing happen in the government system and they don't say anything about it and they back to support government officials because they get it being something after them, you think what will happen to our country? The very schools that they have, the very hospital they build, will be all by the power policies of these politicians.
So yeah,
So yeah, it's a
I
monogamy.
agree with you. Let me get something quick to you. I think, like you said, religion is having it has a serious problem too as well, because if you have a church, for example, or maybe a mosque, you got somebody who attend that mosque or attend the church and work in the work as a minister, for example, and they are taking money from government cover illegally and coming to donate that money to the church, and the church is not even questioning as to where is this coming from. You know what I'm saying? And they just receive it. That in itself is a problem. I just want to highlight that to you.
A politician who is in a church and stole money, the church will not be able to speak against God because they feel he was not their congregation. We saw
So
when concluded men were making people and doing the deed of God or didn't get the money. These are not good signs for our religious
so
leaders become politicians in
yeah,
disguise.
so Kumasu, like I told you that in time past we have strong, religious people that stood, and was very clear on national issues.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, everything is being commercialized. In fact, if James Coyle is involved in any scandal today, say they may take 250,000. I will be, in fact, the first one in my church, I will be the one that will honor, but they know that those
Father
are,
of the year. Father of the year.
yeah, so it's something that is very sad. So we don't want to say that everything is bad, but the church has played some serious, serious role in terms of the economic and social development of this country. But in recent time, they have fought very short, low below the belt. And I'm saying, like you referenced, we saw this one midterm election, men of God united to support CSO Kennedy. And these are people, so sometimes the church should be, where
I think we lost James, but he was making a key point. Hopefully he comes back. Mr. Jara.
Yeah. So
Mr. Jara, that's that.
what
I think that we could dive more into the conversation. We just discussed the issue on the surface level. I think the issue of religion and their role in society is just bigger than our discussion. You know.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So we don't want to. I know our audience is probably will join our conversation, but we know exactly what we want to tell them now. And I think if you don't have anything to say in just 2 seconds, let it wrap up. Let our audience to have some influence. So
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I want to say thank
yeah, so
you.
thank you. And we have other things that I hope that I will try to be very constant on the platform. And maybe the next topic I can try to we'll see if we'll talk about it earlier to maybe add another person for the discussion in next week. Based on the topic, I will try to get somebody from with an expertise in a particular area to join us. To be able
After we happen to Daniel himself, you know what his family was able to contribute.
Yeah,
Is
Mr.
he
Jara. Mr.
is
Jara.
leading
I,
yeah,
Yeah, I would suggest that I think we gone past the time. We conclude the broadcast and then we can have a discussion.
okay.
Uh,